Hello everyone and welcome to another new co-op multiplayer campaign in DCS World, this one set in the Persian Gulf. Calling this campaign the Battle of Dubai, and it takes place in a alternate 1990. But I'll just let the briefing I gave everyone in-game explain it all, and then let's jump in. Background to this whole campaign is, if you're unaware, the United Arab Emirates is made of several different emirate states. The Emir of Abu Dhabi is normally elected president and is the leader of the country. The Emir of Dubai is normally elected prime minister and is the second in command. In our little timeline here, those two have gotten into a large fight. The president is very pro-NATO. The prime minister, on the other hand, is very pro-Iran, and they've called each other foreign agents. Things almost led to a civil war, only averted when the USS Stennis arrived off the coast to support the president. Things were supposed to be leading to a peace deal, with the president being invited to Dubai for peace deal talks. However, just minutes ago, as he was on his way, the bridge in front of him exploded with a bomb that apparently detonated a few minutes early. His convoy then came under light arms fire, and they were forced to retreat. They tried to make it out the city, but all of the major exits were blocked, so they ended escaping to the Burj Al Arab, which is shown in your briefing in Waypoint 1. It's the very distinctive seaside tower. He is waiting on the rooftop there for extraction.
That's also the bullseye, right?
That is the bullseye, yep.
They copied the spinning tower, you can't change my mind.
Excellent. So that is the job of Angel Flight, who will be taking off from Abu Dhabi International. This will be a flight of helicopters escorted by a 190 for reasons of being at an international air show. Their job is to make it to the tower, land on the tower, extract the president. You do that via the F7 menu. It should let you embark the presidential detail, and then from there you extract him and land him in Al Maktoum International, just to the south of the city. Long flight out, short flight back. The problem is that there are a lot of extra enemies on the way, and that's what the other flights are all going to be taking care of. Beeline Flight will be taking off either from the Stennis or from Al Dhafra, or a mix of the both. What they are tasked with doing is intercepting several slow-moving contacts suspected to be helicopters that have just taken off from Syria Island and are heading straight towards the president's location. Expect to either be attack helicopters there to blow up the tower, or troop transports there to deploy troops who will capture or assassinate the president. So those have to be stopped. That is the job of the air-to-air flight, Beeline Flight. Final flight is Chaos Flight. They are being activated because just due north of Burj Khalifa at Maritime City, which is marked on the map, civilian tankers have begun to disembark Iranian-marked vehicles, including tanks and AAA, and it's suspected that they are going to make their way to the president's location. In order to slow them down, 3 major bridges across the canal have been marked for destruction. These are on the briefing, these are also on your map. These are waypoints 2, 3 and 4. From left to right, that is from west to east, that is Auckland, Berlin and Cairo bridges. It's the second picture in your briefing. Those need to be taken out. Approximately 750 pounds of explosive dropped between the supports will take out a bridge. Once that's been done, or if you fail in doing that, try and take out the convoys, do as much damage to them as possible so that they cannot reach the Burj Al Arab, which again is on the coast. It's not the tall tower. Tall tower is the Burj Khalifa. This is a much smaller tower on the coast. Because we are dropping bombs in civilian centres, high precision munitions are strongly encouraged. It's also not advised to drop anything with a yield more than 500 pounds, because that will cause extensive civilian casualties in the area. And this is technically our country we are fighting, and so let's try and avoid massive collateral damage. Equally, this is probably the first part of a long campaign, so do try not to get shot down. Keep an eye out for any surprises that are there. In your briefing, the 4 waypoints are marked. Waypoint 1 is the bullseye, is the President's location. 2 is Auckland Bridge. Waypoint 3 is Berlin. Waypoint 4 is Cairo Bridge. In terms of RTBs, all helicopters and slow movers RTB to the nearby Al Maktoum International just south of the city. All fast movers RTB to the Stennis or Al Dafra airbase. If you're in difficulty, land at Abu Dhabi or Al Maktoum. That is that. Any questions about any of that? So on this one we're going to do things a little bit different. I didn't particularly have pretty good view at the time. I was just an escort for the Angel flight of helicopters, and so I didn't get much good footage, and because we split the comms into different channels, I didn't hear most of the interesting comms. And so what I'm going to do instead is just do a voiceover as I look through what all of the different groups are doing. And so here's the first group to actually see action. This is Beeline Flight. They're trying to intercept those helicopters. And here we have Hardy firing the first shot of the day as he fires a Sparrow into this rather large group of helicopters here. You can see the missile trying to track. Definitely is getting some kind of lock here. These helicopters are pretty low. It is quite hard for them, and as you see here, it just bleeds off the energy and plows into the sea. First shot's a miss. The helicopters all seem to not be too bothered by this. Hardy follows up with another shot there. That one going in much better there, gets a direct hit on that one, and now the helicopters decide to brake. We have here is 4 transport helicopters. Most of them are Heinz. One is the Mi-26, and then we've got a series of escort Heinz. Now Hardy here immediately turns around, tries to recommit. Here we get a nice view of Dougie, his wingman, coming in, firing off a missile, and another, and another. These Heinz are doing a hell of a good job at dodging. Hardy then fires off a missile, but gets whacked by one of the other Heinz. These Heinz are armed with R60Ms, and so that is Hardy down now. He does keep flying for a little bit, but does not make it back. First casualty of the day there. Still, Dougie presses on. There are more of Beeline Flight, but they are kind of separated. They're still on their way, while Dougie and Hardy are pressing this group. Again, here the missiles just don't seem to particularly want to follow. The problem here is that helicopters are hard to really maintain a lock-on when they are so low and so slow. With radar and with IR, they do struggle to get a lock-on. But there we see that the rest of Beeline Flight is beginning to arrive now. Had a good, decent splash just there from the F-16. Here comes Alpha Kill, low level in the F-15. Firing off a missile there. Good tracking on the missile, but again, it just can't outmaneuver a helicopter. Nice little spray of guns there. Good, decent hits, but just not enough to finish off a Hind. Here we go again, now using Sparrows. This time it does take the flare bait, but it hits close enough that the blast does remove the tail, and so that is one of these large planes down. Stroder here is coming in a little bit behind everyone else, and just launches a bunch of these missiles all towards the entire group there. Fortunately, I don't think any of these actually do any good. See some splashing in the background there, but mostly those end up failing to find their targets. You can see them detonating. One actually seemed to manage to hit there. Unfortunately, I didn't manage to catch it on screen, but one of the Hinds does nose up and take out Stroder there. So unfortunately that is 2 F-14s lost, but it doesn't do the remaining Hinds much good. With all of the fighters all grouped together here, they do eventually just start making quick work, and here the last Hind goes down. So that was what was going on with Beeline Group. Chaos Flight here were tasked to take out the bridges, and here Sorcerer makes the first drop, dropping a pair of laser-guided bombs at the Auckland Bridge, this leftmost bridge here. I do not know what went wrong with this particular drop. I'm guessing the lasing wasn't quite set up, because you can see there both those bombs do miss. The targeting bomb didn't seem to particularly be tracking. Said here we flip over a few minutes later to Ranger, who decides to go for the triple dumb bomb. There should be enough explosives to take out the bridge. Unfortunately, those just hit a little shy of the target. Same time here we have Nice Life coming in, who has just dropped his laser guided bomb. Here we can see this is definitely tracking. And comes in nicely. Good decent hit there. That is one of the bridges taken out. It doesn't trigger the trigger for some reason. Sorcerer, though, keeps going around and pounding. He switched over to his Mavericks, which are working very nicely. Here, Ranger comes in and decides to go for the pair of bridges that were supposed to already be taken out at the start of the mission. Just misses to the side there, but that is just a tram track, so that isn't actually a primary target. Sorcerer, though, has managed to come around, fires away another Maverick here. And these Mavericks do a good job. They're quite happy to lock onto things like bridges. They do take a while to get to their target. They've not got a huge amount of fuel, and they're really quite heavy things. They do nicely, reliably get onto the target. Now, unfortunately, with civilian traffic being a bit random, here in this particular replay, we unfortunately get a random bus there being hit. But that is the Auckland Bridge destroyed, and that does stop the column of hostile vehicles that were heading towards it. Equally, with Bravo Bridge at this point, or Berlin Bridge being destroyed, their column is taken out. Only the one heading for the Cairo Bridge, the final bridge, is still in the air. So that really seemed to be a good little run there. Now we have a bit of a weird break as Dougie here tries to join formation with Chaos Flight, and things go a little bit wrong here. He's nicely follow this guy, flips over, blacks out, rams. So there we go, that is a third F-14 down along with an F-16. 2 casualties due to just collision there. Very, very odd collision. This wasn't that crowded, but anyway, that happened. Here we have Flame Haze coming in. to double check that this bridge has in fact been taken out. The trigger does seem to need some work, so that's my bad. But there we go, that does now count. That is all the bridges cut, all of the ground forces have stopped moving. And so now we're jumping over onto Angel Flight. So here we have Judas in his trusty Fokker Wolf, who's just doing a little bit of scouting ahead. Fortunately, doesn't manage to see the light, small groups that are just guarding the roadways here. Luckily, the helicopter's door gunners do start opening up. You can see there they've taken out a few. The formation does break up a bit, but Tomster here just mostly pushes through, pushing through the initial guards and heads towards the city, towards that tower that they are trying to get to. This is me following along a little bit behind those helicopters, just searching for these groups. Their door gunners nicely pointed them out for me. So I head in here and start doing my best to do some damage. Just getting George here to take a few pot shots. Either way, Tomster does nicely manage to get through to the target without any more problems. And slowly comes around. And very nicely makes a landing. The presidential team is waiting on the airport here. That helipad even. And this all went a lot smoother than I was expecting. This is quite a challenging landing. Landing on rooftops is quite hard because you don't really get the same ground effect. There we go, nice landing, first little attempt there. And then he just signals the presidential group to come on board, get the confirmation that the president is on board. And at this point all the flights are clear to RTB. Tomster there, heading off, dropping altitude very rapidly and heading along the coast. The rest of Beeline Flight do at this point start heading back home, testing some weapons there in the end, just because ammunition had not been spent. As Tomster coming back, he does take a slightly different route, so this route hasn't been cleared out behind him. Luckily though, his gunners are more than happy to absolutely spray down the area. You can see here the enemy taking rather horrible casualties. Meanwhile, while I was on my way back, I did get attacked. See here, taking small arms fire. I didn't really have to engage this group, but as I didn't do a huge amount on this one, so I was quite happy to just have some things to shoot at. George here quite happy just to plough rounds in. Now they do have RPGs. I honestly wasn't sure whether RPGs would be fired at helicopters or not, but it seems the AI seems happy to. But luckily I dodged that. There was another one that got launched at me a little bit later that again I managed to dodge. But nicely here, the 30mm cannon can do a lot of work. I did make my way away from one group towards another. In the end decided that I should probably just disengage at that point. Here you see Neuris, who is just escorting the presidential package back. Now, not all of Chaos Group disengage. They were tasked with trying to destroy the ground troops. Problem is, a lot of those ground troops are hidden on the main roads, right next to trees. And while they're trying to search for them, unfortunately you may have just seen the smoke there, one does get knocked out with a shilka fire. Flame Haze here does come under fire and takes a bad hit to his engine, but he does manage to limp back to the nearest base. And then here we have Tomster coming in with the president, coming in for a nice landing. So yeah, we definitely took some casualties there, and unfortunately the enemy were left with most of their ground troops intact. But we did take out the bridges, we did avoid any of the helicopters reaching to reinforce, and very importantly we got the mission critical job done of getting the president out of there and to safety. And so here I come in just a little while later. There's the presidential group all disbanded. We're all just trying to line up. I'm not the best at landing accurately on a helipad, so I do mess up a little bit, but still all really, really fun. Unfortunately, that wasn't the end of the casualties for the day. Poor Alpha Kill here coming in, tail strikes on landing, damages his 2 vertical stabilizers, tries to abort, but without a vertical stabilizer, no support. He unfortunately goes in. Third plane lost due to an accident, so unfortunately we took fairly heavy losses given what we were up against, but still, overall mission complete. Vampire though comes in, nice soft landing. So yeah, definitely enjoyed that one. I'd like to thank everyone who did join that. We had a really, really busy session. Lots and lots of people turned up, more than I thought would. And a very good start to the new campaign, and looking forward to the next one. I hope you are too, and until then, remember to be kind to yourselves and everyone else. Cheers.